Hi everybody, Christian from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to explore the difference between a familial connection and a soul connection. Okay, so this obviously addresses the fact that we come here as the soul first, and then become the human secondly. Okay, and so it brings up concepts of the purpose in being here, right? And also questioning, well, who am I? What am I authentically? Am I this meat suit, so to speak, right? Or am I the thing driving it, right? Which we would say more of a consciousness or energy of that uses this as a vehicle for a lifetime. Because, we all know that we get birthed as the human. And we know that we had parents, right? Two polarities, a man and a woman that come together to create that space, which we'd call the space of conception, which has a symbology or geometry where you look at a man and a woman as circles in regards to geometry, and we bring them together, overlap, they create the vesica Pisces in the middle, which is a space or state of neutrality, right? To allow that woman to what we know as becoming pregnated or becoming pregnant, which is the conceiving and the creation of the body, right? Of another vessel that will be inhabited by a soul. Okay? So we see that woman who will become the mother of that child is creating the very vehicle that then a soul will come in to use for a lifetime, right? So we must understand that mother, if we want to go even further back, right? A man and woman coming together, right? To create that space of neutrality, to conceive and create a conception, which is going to create that very vehicle, body, or interface to allow a soul to come here and experience reality. That mother is facilitating an opportunity for another soul to have a journey. And that's really what all it is. Okay. We need to understand this as when we perceive that they will become our son, our daughter, right? Not only from the mother's perspective, but the father's perspective. They are family roles, right? Which we can say as human roles, right? That can also get in the way of what that singular soul needs to accomplish here as a soul, right? As I mentioned, we came here as the soul first, then became a human second. Okay. So what I'm talking about here is now that connection, right? For a familial role, right? As, for example, me as a father to my son or to my daughter, but also understanding that they are a soul in their own right that is not bound through a familial connection. Okay, because sometimes we see that familial connection or role as in a way, an ownership that they are my son, that's my daughter. But what's housed in their vehicle, right, their body, is something that has no familial connection to me at all. Right? They have a journey, they have a original purpose in being here. As I said, they got here as the soul first. That if I get too involved as the father, I might be negatively impacting or influencing their path as a soul, a singular soul. Okay? Right? So see it as this, right? The more conditioned, because we quite often call our human nature, our conditioned version of ourselves, right? Well, as the soul, what we infinitely and authentically are, because that never changes, right? Our time here as the human does, because we have 70, 80, 90 years of that experience. And then we go back to just being a soul again. Now, that's our authenticity as the soul, right? As the human, especially because what happened, right? We came here as the soul first, but we lose sight of that original purpose the more we get conditioned as the human, and we know why that is. The mind intervened and built a curriculum in becoming the human, what the world believed, for what the world thinks it needs us to be. And we become something we're not. Okay? So the more we get conditioned as human, the more we lose sight of why we originally came here. Okay? Now, the definition of the word familial, right, is this. The word familial has to do with all the things relating to family. Okay? A familial gathering is one in which family has come together, and a familial bond is a strong connection between family members. Right? Now, I've recently done a video, a free healing video, which is, in regards to our ancestral lineage, right? Which again is a concept based on generations of a family connection, a familial connection, right? So that can be very much connected to this, right? A familial bond, a strong connection. And I get clients coming and saying, hey, it's because of what happened with my great grandfather, or further down the line, that why I have this curse or spell or this problem going on. Now, the big question with that and how we go about that is the question of, what do you perceive yourself to be? Right? Because the answer to that, in this example, would be that you're a human. But as I've stated earlier, what you authentically infinitely are has nothing to do with the human, with you as a consciousness, with you as a soul. So if you see yourself as that, as a soul, as a consciousness, there's no familial connection in play. So hence there can't be a passing of something through an ancestral lineage. Right? Now, it's easy to spot the Latin root familia, that's where it comes from, meaning family in the word familial, right? Familiar sounds familiar, right? And its definition is well known from long or close association, right? So again, we can use that word association with our ancestral lineage or ancestor, right? So the key word within that is association. As we use the human role of family member as an association to link us all under the identity as human, right? And isn't it interesting, the world that we have today? The world today, there is an identity crisis. And I believe, when everybody talks about the woke agenda, that woke agenda is really come out of this need to find our place, right? Where we can feel at ease with who we are. But the problem is that woke agenda is creating all these subcategories, which is through compartmentalization, which compart is to break it into pieces. Mentalize is using mentality, right, which is using a mind thought pathway to perceive and process our reality, including who we are, which is how we got conditioned as the human, right, which took us further away from what we authentically are as a soul, right? So this woke agenda is a byproduct of a lost soul experience, right? What the mind has kind of driven us towards, which is now creating even more conflict than ever in the world, right? All based on identity, right? When we talk about soul consciousness, we're talking about awareness, we're talking about self-awareness, which is not the embodiment of a label, right? It's a common connection of ourselves as a soul or a consciousness, you know? So, yeah, so that's fine, but we are not authentically human, right? We are a soul. Now, I'm just reading some things out in front of me at the moment. Also, as parents, right, as I mentioned before, right, the roles that we have, right, as the human, right, and how we then approach that to our son, our daughter, and so on. Also, as parents, you didn't create the child you come to call now son or daughter. You facilitated the opening of conception, a space of neutrality, as I mentioned at the start, for a soul to come through. And also the mother forged a vessel, right? The creation of the body, for that soul to use it as an interface for a lifetime. But what authentically that child person is the soul, that has nothing to do with the parents, right? There's no familial connection, right? If we see it as a soul-to-soul connection instead of a familial connection, right? The whole idea of this video. Okay, so, when we look at that, we know that it's not until when the embryo is forming, it's not until the heart is formed that the soul comes through, right? That's now gonna use that vessel, that interface, that body for a lifetime, right? So the embryo is being forged, and it's interesting to note that at that time, when we look at the embryo, it looks like a little prawn, right? It's curved. Now, why it's curved is based on that state or space of neutrality, which provides a flowing form or geometry we know as a vortex. That's why it's shaped like that. Okay. Because when the heart's formed, which again is established and created by that vortex, because the initial strands of the heart, they come like two strands, and then they get torsioned into the formation we know now as the heart. Now, torsion is a vortex, because we know that the heart is a vortex facilitator. That's why it has a rhythm and a rate to it, and it doesn't just go bum, 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 like a sinus rhythm. It rotates as it beats, because it facilitates the very pathway of how you got here as a soul. Right. And why we're getting led astray with things such as identity, such as the familial role, familial connection, superseding what we authentically are as a soul, because we've been conditioned to accept the mind and not the heart. Why is the number one killer of a human cardiovascular disease? Because we're not using the heart in the way we should be using it. This is what we are. This is how we got here, through the heart. Okay. So now it may look, and we may perceive it as that, wow, they carry on that lineage, right? Right. Even when we talk about DNA and genetics and those sorts of things, which are really energetics in nature. Yes, that child can take on things, right, that from their parents, but a lot of the times it's the child getting conditioned to take on those habits of the parents that then supersedes their authenticity as a soul, right? Because as I said at the start, right, the human is our conditioned version of self, the soul is our authenticity. Okay. So anyway, I thought I'd do this video about that, because I think it's beautiful in itself, right? And it's also, I think, especially for any parent, right, that is bringing up their children, it's something we need to bring to the table, bring to the equation, and how we go about that, how we connect with them, right? Because we can't just see it as an authoritative figure, as a mother, a father to our son, our daughter. We've got to realize that the core basis of that child is a soul that needs to forge their path of reality as a soul, something that is not bound through a familial connection. It's very important. It's very important as individuals, as parents, that we need to provide the space and the time for ourselves to forge our uniqueness and our individuality as a soul in our own right as well. Very important. So I'd love to hear your comments about this. Please comment below. Please remember to like this video. Share this video for anybody that you feel needs to hear this. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed to the channel. Push the notification bell to be notified when the next video drops. Now, if you'd like to learn more of this sort of thing, which we would call, we do sessions at Truly Holistic called reality coaching. We also do healing sessions. If you'd be interested in that, going to my website, my appointment page, which is trulyholistic.net/appointments/. Until next time, catch you later.